Good afternoon, everyone. We are going to get started just in about 5 minutes. We're waiting for a couple more people to attend. Parking's a little challenging and trying to figure out the navigation around here, so be patient, but we'll be beginning in about 5 minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. If I could ask everyone to take their seats. Those that are out in the vestibule, we are just about ready to get started. We are running a few minutes late, I think because there's been a lot of traffic on 290 for people coming in. I'm just going to see, can you hear me? If I, this way. Okay, do we have everybody out of that room? Can you see over there? Okay, great. Good afternoon and welcome everyone. My name is Rita Kreslin and I am the Executive Director for the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists. On behalf of all the victims of impaired, distracted, and reckless driving crashes and all those dedicated to the issue, it is both an honor and a privilege to welcome you today to Secretary Janulius's annual Candlelight Ceremony. We are here today because Secretary Janulius knows and understands the tragedies caused by impaired and distracted driving. It is his compassion and concern that brings us together, not only to pay tribute to those lost to this horrendous crime, but to celebrate their lives. Deaths and injuries caused by impaired and reckless driving crashes are not accidents, but the tragic result of willful conduct. The label of an accident obscures the fact that alcohol, substance use, the use of an electronic device, and other dangerous driving behaviors are caused by tragedies. The word accident fails to recognize these actions as intentional and criminal. The label is a crash. Today's Candlelight Ceremony has been held for many years, not just for the victims, but for the public, particularly to remind everyone of the tragedies caused by impaired driving. Today, we remember all crash victims. All of us here today are surrounded by individuals who have a genuine interest in reducing deaths and injuries caused by irresponsible drivers. You are here today because you all care. While this afternoon's ceremony is not painless, we celebrate hope, lives lived, lives lost, and for those whose fight remain ahead. Please let this Candlelight Ceremony open your heart and open your mind, and let this give you a new courage for a new future. Let this be a hopeful event that will make a difference in your life. At this time, I would like to welcome and recognize a few people. Our host, Illinois Secretary of State, Alexi Janulius. My co-host, Mothers Against Drunk Driving Regional Executive Director Erin Payton. From the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Dr. John Lee Anderle. Reverend Monsignor Kenneth Velo. Our local vocalist, actor, singer, and teacher, Bree Velo. And two families who will share personal stories of how impaired and reckless driving devastated their lives, Aaron Rollins and Gina Vargas. I'd also like to recognize people in the audience from different agencies. From the Secretary of State's Office, Director and Counsel for Administration Hearing, Ted Gibbs. Illinois State Representative Camille Lilly from the 78th District. Oak Park Deputy Chief Roderick Robinson. Carroll Stream Police Department. Cheryl Lockwood from MAD, Chair of the Advisory Council and council members, AIM and MAD staff and all of the victim advocates, AIM Board President, Dr. Charles Notzika, and all of AIM board members. And will all at this moment, all of our law enforcement and first responders, please stand to be recognized. Please know that we appreciate all of your support. We will begin this afternoon with a prayer from Monsignor Velo. Monsignor Kenneth Velo has been a priest in Chicago for nearly 50 years. He served as Vice Chancellor of the Archdiocese, Executive Assistant to the late Joseph Cardinal Bernardine, and President of the Catholic Church Extension Society. He is currently the Senior Executive in the Office of Catholic Collaboration at DePaul University, and Co-Chairman of Big Shoulders Fund. He does pastoral ministry at Old St. Pat's Church and serves as a chaplain at Shirley Ryan Ability Lab. Big Shoulders, which was established in 1986, raises funds for inner-city Catholic schools in Chicago and Northwest Indiana. They now have 92 schools with over 26,000 young people entrusted in their care. It is now with pleasure to introduce to you my friend, Monsignor Kenneth Velo.
Thank you, Rita. Secretary Julius, officials, especially those who serve and protect our state and our cities. It was 1860, and the British came to a point where they needed help because of their navies were experiencing great difficulty. And a great author of a song wrote, "Eternal Father, strong to save." Since that time, that has been the Navy hymn. And if you've ever attended a funeral where perhaps Navy veteran or someone active military has died, you'll hear the song, beautiful song, "Eternal Father, strong to save." One of the verses in that song says, "Give peace, O God, give peace again." We live with troubled waves, waves over world difficulties, waves over a divided nation, waves over troubled cities. And tonight, we ask God to give peace again. To the people of Ukraine, give peace, O God, give peace again. To those innocent in the Midwest, give peace, O God, give peace again. To our nation divided, give peace, O God, give peace again. To those who are impacted by natural disasters, fires, earthquakes, hurricanes, give peace, O God, give peace again. To the men and women who serve our country, give peace, O God, give peace again. To the homeless, the hungry, the poor, the neglected, give peace, O God, give peace again. To those who have lost loved ones through senseless accidents, give peace, O God, give peace again. To those who have been injured because of intoxicated motorists, give peace, O God, give peace again. To those who work for the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists, give peace, O God, give peace again. To those in our cities and troubled streets, give peace, O God, give peace again. And to all who gather this night, give peace, O God, give peace again. Gracious God, we ask you to grant the petitions we place before you, to watch over all those people who are part of our world and the world in need. We ask you to grant them peace and comfort, courage and strength. Make our prayer in your mercy, your providence, and through your goodness and your good name. Amen.
I see the sunrise from my window. It must have risen every day, but I couldn't see at all The shadows were too tall. I'm seeing it today. I could hear the people speaking. I didn't hear a word they say, just the echo of it all, passing through the empty hall. I'm hearing it today. Because the world keeps turning, and I guess it always will. I can choose to turn around, or I can choose to just stand still. Either way, nothing stops another day. I lost my life and all its meaning, and so I locked myself away, dragging my heart behind a wall. I couldn't feel it beat at all, but I'm feeling it today. Because the world keeps turning, and I guess it always will. I can choose to turn around, or I can choose to just stand still. Either way, nothing stops another day. I know I have to let go of the life I'll never know. Hard as it may be, and try to understand instead, there's another life ahead. Because the tallest mountain cannot stop the smallest stream. Winter can't hold back the spring, no matter how dark it may seem. Come what may, nothing stops another day. Come what may, nothing stops another day.
Hello, I'm Erin Payton. I'm the Regional Executive Director for Mothers Against Drunk Driving in Illinois, Iowa, and Wisconsin. I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker. Dr. John Lee Anderle is the Regional Administrator for the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration Region 5, which is the Great Lakes region, overseeing the federal highway safety programs in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, and Wisconsin. He joined the United States Department of Transportation in 2018 after working more than 25 years in law enforcement, highway safety planning and grant management, and in academia in Wyoming. He is currently the chair of the Chicago Federal Executive Board and serves on several NHTSA working groups to include tribal safety, drug impaired driving, and rural safety. Please welcome to the stage, Dr. Anderle.
Good evening. I'm the Regional Administrator for the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, but I share a link with a lot of you in this room as well. I've lost loved ones to impaired driving, and I'm going to touch a little bit on the numbers that we have with NHTSA, but I do want to underscore that behind every number I talk about is a name. I'm honored to be invited to provide remarks at this important remembrance event. Today, we gather to honor those who have been killed or injured in alcohol and drug-impaired driving crashes, as well as anybody who's been emotionally devastated by these violent and entirely preventable crimes. Impaired driving is both illegal and dangerous, yet too many drivers take the wheel after drinking or using impairing drugs. Impaired driving is 100% preventable, but it still takes far too many lives every year. In 2021, 13,384 people lost their lives in alcohol-impaired driving crashes. Countless more lost their lives in drug-impaired driving crashes, yet we just don't have very good data on those crashes. More than 13,000 lives lost. That's so many deaths, it almost sounds abstract. But as all of you in this room know, those 13,384 lives gone leave a gaping hole in their families and the communities that can never be filled. Their absence will always be felt. And this holiday season, too many seats will be empty at the dinner table and too many hearts will be broken. These crashes are particularly tragic because they are 100% preventable. There really is no reason and never an excuse to drive impaired by alcohol or other drugs. In the coming weeks, my agency will be kicking off our holiday season impaired driving prevention campaign. The campaign, which runs through the first of the new year, reminds everyone of the dangers of impaired driving and the consequences if they choose to drive impaired by alcohol or other drugs. This message is critical right now because impaired driving is on the rise. On average, one person was killed every 39 minutes in 2021 due to impaired driving. In 2020, that number was one person every 45 minutes. This is a disturbing trend. Alcohol-impaired driving fatalities increased by more than 14% from 2020 to 2021 and increased by 15% from 2019 to 2020. These double-digit increases should alarm every single one of us. Another statistic is particularly alarming. 2/3 of drunk driving crashes nationally, fatalities nationally in 2021 involved a driver with a blood alcohol level of 0.15 or more, nearly twice the legal limit of impairment. In Illinois, 461 of the 1,334 people killed in crashes, or 35%, were killed in crashes involving at least one alcohol-impaired driver. And 72% of those Illinois impaired driving crash fatalities in 2021 were at 0.15 or higher. It's terrifying to know that you and me, our family, our friends are sharing the roads every day with impaired drivers, many of whom are 2 times or more over the legal limit. Alcohol impairs your ability to drive, plain and simple, and many different strategies can help to avoid impaired driving and to avoid becoming a statistic. No one needs to die this holiday season because someone chose to drive impaired. Please help me by spreading the word. Tell people, tell your family, tell your friends, if you've been drinking or using an impairing drug, don't get behind the wheel. Call a cab, get a ride share, arrange for a designated driver, or just spend the night at a friend's house. The last point I want to repeat is that I've been talking about numbers and statistics, but I do want to remind everybody that behind each number is a name, a person whose life was needlessly ended by an impaired driver. 3 of the names that stick out with me are Jeff Anderley, my cousin, Richard Wright, my uncle, and Journey Moz, my little 15-year-old cousin, all 3 of who were killed in 3 separate decades in impaired driving crashes. And behind each of those victims are many survivors, mothers, fathers, siblings, children, and many of the family and friends who are in this room today who have to live with that loss each and every day. Let's work together and create a world where impaired driving is a distant memory. Thank you.
Our next speaker is our host, Illinois Secretary of State, Alexi Janulius. Alexi Janulius was sworn into office, Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Janulius was sworn into office as Illinois' 38th Secretary of State on January 9, 2023. He is committed to transforming operations through modern efforts, improving customer service, expanding online services, and reducing wait times. In addition, he is seeking to strengthen state ethic laws to curb corruption, protect voters' rights, and increase registration opportunities, and enhance public libraries to make learning resources more accessible across the state. On his first day of office, Secretary Janulius signed a wide-range executive ethics order to improve transparency, enhance protections afforded to victims of sexual harassment or threats of violence, and simplify the public's ability to submit complaints to the Inspector General's office. He also released his transition team comprehensive report that served as a blueprint for modernizing the office, expanding services and transforming operations to best serve the people of Illinois. In 2006, Janulius was elected Illinois State Treasurer, becoming our youngest treasurer in the nation at the age of 30. After leaving the Treasurer's office in 2011, Janulius was appointed as chairman of the Illinois Community College. He also became senior director of BNY Mellon Wealth Management and taught at Northwestern University. In 2018, he was appointed to serve on Chicago Public Library's Board of Directors. Secretary Janulius is also the CEO and founder of Anola Ventures, which has invested in real estate startups, including many Illinois-based companies. Secretary Janulius graduated cum laude from Boston University with a degree in economics and earned a law degree from Tulane University School of Law. He is a lifelong Chicagoan and still calls the city his home, and is here with his wife and 3 daughters. Please welcome our host, Alexis Janulius.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank my good friend Rita Kreslin for her tireless and passionate commitment to preventing deaths and injuries caused by impaired or distracted motorists. I want to thank our friends at NHTSA for their leadership, for being here today, for their powerful words, and for all that you do on a national and regional level. I also want to thank my very good friend, Monsignor Kenneth Vilo, for his leadership and his guidance. Thank you for always being by my side and this community side. We're lucky to have you here today. And to all those who are elected to office or in law enforcement, especially those in law enforcement or first responders, you are the truest public servants. We all owe you a debt of gratitude. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for fighting for everyone in all our communities. I also want to thank Erin Payton, for her hard work and dedication to keeping our roads safe and for all that she does for this entire region. Before I give my remarks, I want to echo the words that were just mentioned. Today is important, today is powerful, today is about remembrance and awareness, but it's up to all of us to remind our loved ones, our friends, our neighbors, to just put their phones down. If you've had a couple drinks, there's so many opportunities, more so than ever, to get a ride, to have an Uber, to have a Lyft, to find a ride share. Please, please, I implore you, before it's too late, tell those that you care about, or those that you know, those that you see at a Starbucks, just to put their phone down while they're driving. I can't tell you how many instances we see, we've all been a part of, where a tiny decision can destroy countless lives. As Secretary of State, I go to a lot of ceremonies, gatherings, and events, but I can't think of any that are as important as this one. If anyone ever doubts that driving while impaired changes lives forever, they should take a moment to read through AIM's annual benefit booklet. The heart-wrenching stories of beautiful, innocent lives taken all too soon demonstrates that these tragedies happen all too often and have a profound impact on our friends, our neighbors, our families, and entire communities. It's never the anticipated ending of whatever night on the town or social event preceded each of these tragedies. It's always a horribly dangerous risk when the choice is made to drive after drinking alcohol or ingesting drugs. And while recent statistics appear to be encouraging, showing few people are making that choice, the number of related deaths will never be a reason to celebrate until it hits 0. 9 years ago, the woman who struck Aaron's vehicle made the choice to drive after drinking. She took a risk that certainly wasn't worth taking, a gamble with Aaron's life and her own. As you'll hear from Aaron and Gina later in the program, the pain is profoundly evident and everlasting. We must never forget, and we must never accept these risks and the pain associated with them. That's because during today's event, as we remember those who've lost their lives, we should acknowledge that to truly honor these individuals, we need to work together to ensure safety and to minimize easily preventable deaths on our roadways. The theme of AIM's annual book this year is resilience. To me, resilience means toughness, the ability to withstand difficulties or challenges. Each of us needs to accept the safety of ourselves and those we share the road with as our responsibility. We need to show our resilience together. We need to grieve, but we also need to take a stand. And as Secretary of State, keeping our roads safe is absolutely my top priority. Earlier this year, our office introduced language that the General Assembly passed, for the first time ever, outlawing the use of video conferences services like Zoom while driving, which becomes law on January 1st, 2024. I'm proud of this law, thrilled that it passed, but embarrassed that it wasn't a law before I took office. In addition, the notice we mail out with each new driver's license highlights the immense dangers of distracted driving. Next year, my office will re-examine our driver's ed curriculum to educate new drivers about dangerous driving habits and include additional questions involving impaired driving on our DMV driving tests. We also plan to promote statewide traffic safety and enforcement efforts focused on drivers who ignore speed limits or drive aggressively, distracted, and especially impaired. It's not just about increasing penalties and fines. It's about changing behavior and changing mindsets. Mobility is a hallmark of our freedom, but safety is a responsibility that we all share. We must create a culture of safety among drivers that will extend to everyone, because it's unacceptable that impaired driving still accounts for nearly 1/3 of all fatalities on our roads. I know everyone here today is committed to ending impaired driving, so no one has to feel the loss that these impacted families feel every day. It starts with each of us. It starts with resilience. We must understand that every single time we get behind the wheel, or a friend or a family member gets behind the wheel, we have a responsibility to do our part to help ensure the safety of others on the road. Lastly, crashes, injuries, and fatalities increase during the holiday season. Of course, it's a joyous time to visit with family and friends, but it's also a reminder of the everlasting impact of their irresponsible choice to drive while impaired. Even one death is too many, which is why we must continue working together. We must show resilience by continuing to tell the stories of those we've lost, and we must continue doing everything in our power to save lives and to prevent future tragedies. And let me say on a personal note, to anyone and everyone who has lost a loved one, my heart goes out to you. My heart breaks for you and your family. I will keep each of you in my thoughts and prayers. And let's remember to get the word out, to let people know of the lives that are devastated forever when people don't make easy decisions. I'm honored to be here today. You will always have a Secretary of State that fights for this community. I'm proud to be your ally, and I'm proud of the work that you all do. God bless you all.
everybody. Thank you for sharing that, Alexi. I will now be welcoming Miss Erin Rollins. She'll be sharing her story tonight. Thank you, Miss Rollins.
Can you all hear me? I'm a little short. Thank you. Hello, my name is Erin Rollins. Thank you so much for having me. I know we have all suffered at the hands of a drunk or drugged driver, and I hope that my story not only reiterates the negative consequences of impaired driving, but also helps some of you in some way put the pieces back together in your own hearts and helps you ultimately find some level of peace and forgiveness. The year 2014 started with so much hope. I had just graduated with a Master's of Science degree from Northwestern University the year prior, had successfully completed an internship in Washington, D.C., and had moved home to the Chicagoland area to save money after grad school. I accepted a temporary position with the hopes of being hired full-time on an engineering magazine with a trade publication and had just adopted a half Pomeranian Pekingese dog named Gizmo. I would take Gizmo for several walks a day and talk to God about my day, my future, my hopes and dreams, and even the guys I liked. On November 7th, 2014, I took my dog for a walk like every other day, and I prayed the prayers that were on my heart. Only this time, I heard God say, "Erin, something tragic is going to happen, and it's going to happen to you." Stunned, but surprisingly sure, I said, "Okay, God, do whatever you have to do, just don't take my life." On November 9th, 2014, I drove home alone from a late movie with a friend when a drunk driver traveling the wrong way down the expressway hit me head on. On impact, my life as I knew it was over. This drunk driver may not have killed me, although I almost died several times, but she took away my life. In one fell swoop, I lost my body, my job, a guy who was pursuing me and said he didn't want to date me because of what happened to my body. My independence and time, so much time. I faced an uncertain future with a broken body and broken dreams. I had just been told the month prior by both the engineering team and the food writing team that they were considering hiring me full-time, with the food writing position being a dream job. After the crash, I was told by the paramedics, the state trooper, the hospital staff, that it was a miracle that I survived, and people do not normally survive crashes like this. On impact, I sustained life-threatening injuries, including holes to my bowels, colon, and small intestine, a severed iliac artery, a lacerated liver. I also sustained the most severe burst fracture to both the lumbar 5 and sacral 4, filling my spinal canal with hundreds of shards of bone and immediately paralyzing me from the waist down. 3 broken ribs, a fractured sternum, my right foot was broken in 3 places, a severe concussion, and a split left rectus muscle from my belly button through my oblique on the left side to my spine. My plastic surgeon said while the seatbelt saved my life, it sliced my body in half. He's never seen that before or since. The first memory I have is of waking up in the ambulance in the worst pain of my life. I then woke up in the hospital and was told that they were going to put in an indwelling catheter and it was going to feel uncomfortable, and I felt nothing. The next memory I have, waking up and seeing the state trooper standing at the end of my gurney. He asks me if I know my name and what happened to me. I said my name, but I didn't have the strength to say anything more, so I shook my head no. He then walked over to a woman to my left who had been moaning as I was. I thought because she was also in horrible pain. I had seen her black wavy hair and felt compassion for her. I hear him say to this woman, "Look to the woman to your right, that's the woman you hit." He then begins to lecture her, but it was too much trauma, my brain shut off. At 4 in the morning, the neurosurgery and trauma teams came in to let us know they were fighting over which emergency surgery to do first. If they decided to do the spinal surgery first, it would be putting my life at risk due to the holes in my organs and internal bleeding. But if they waited on the spinal surgery, my chances for recovery would be slimmer and I may never learn to walk again. Ultimately, they chose the emergency exploratory surgery and saved my life. I had the spinal surgery 2 days later at a different hospital because I was not yet stable enough the next day. In the last 9 years since the crash, I've had 16 plus surgeries as a direct result of the crash. And there's always more surgeries on the horizon. Initially, I had 3 emergency surgeries, 2 of which I just spoke about. The 3rd emergency surgery was because I became septic 10 days later and I almost died because the first surgery failed. Due to the trauma from the initial crash and the first abdominal surgery, my abdomen was open and they weren't able to close me. They said that the flesh was crumbling in their hands because I had gone into septic shock and I had just so much damage. I was open as wide as 1 to 2 footballs. I looked pregnant with all of the packing. I woke up after the 7.5-hour-long sepsis surgery and I felt broken for the first time. I was intubated and in horrible pain. Intuitively, I knew something was horribly wrong. I prayed and I said, God, please fix this. Please do something. When I came out of surgery, when the trauma surgeon came out of surgery, my sister said he looked like he had seen a ghost. When they had opened me up, my colon was spewing at them. He said I had minutes to hours to live. They caught it just in time. Then he broke some other news. They said they weren't sure they could close me for 9 months, and I had a colostomy, which saved my life. It turns out that my trauma surgeon called my now plastic surgeon and asked for help. The next morning I woke up with my sister holding my hand, explaining to me what a colostomy was. I had no idea. She said, Erin, it saved your life. I said, okay, it must be okay then. Dr. Dumani came into the room, he wrote his name on the board and he said, look, we're gonna try to put you back together, but I don't know if this is gonna work. We've never done this before. I said, do whatever you have to do, I don't care. So they were able to put me back together 5 days later after I was infection-free, and I never done before surgery. That's helped a lot of people after me. And the really cool thing about that as well is that had they not been able to put me back together, I would have had to go under several skin grafts, many more surgeries, and I may not have learned to walk again, because the sooner someone is up and walking after a spinal cord injury, the better outcomes they have. From November 2014 through January 2015, 2.5 months, I spent in 2 different hospitals and the rehab hospital, basically learning how to live again, all throughout Thanksgiving and Christmas. I wasn't allowed to eat for 3 weeks in the hospital after all the abdominal surgeries, so on Thanksgiving, I wasn't allowed to eat on that day. But I did have some visitors, so that was nice. I've spent 8 years in rehab learning to walk again and to try and achieve as close of normal of a life as possible, to which I now walk with an abnormal gait, and still I have to wear orthotics in my shoes because of the spinal injury. I have to self-catheterize still to urinate, and I just had my colostomy reversed January 3rd of this year, although for 8 years the surgeons thought it was irreversible because of the lack of neurological function in my lower body. Basically, I pooped in a bag for 8 years. I live with chronic pain and feel like a slave to my body most days. As a now 38-year-old woman, my dignity has been severely challenged, and all because of someone else's decisions over a period of few hours put me here. At the time of the crash, I was 29 and single. I wondered, after the rejection of the guy courting me, who would love me and want to take all of this on. I have felt shame over things I can't control, and I have debated what is wise and how much I am capable of working. I'm happy to say that a few months after the rejection, I met my now husband, who saw my heart, my faith, and my perseverance, not my broken body or my broken dreams. We met a year after the crash and were married within a year and a month after that. I've had at least 1 surgery every year, except during 2018 through 19. In total, I've had 2 laparotomies, 3 back surgery, with the 3rd being to remove all the spinal hardware that they told me would never be able to be removed. 2 abdominal reconstructions, 1 hernia repair, 1 surgery to remove the IVC filter that also saved my life because I had life-threatening blood clots in my lungs. A colostomy reversal, 3 stabilization foot surgeries, and 1 surgery to remove glass from my foot because I didn't know I stepped on it. My neurosurgeon, Dr. Cebulski, calls me the miracle patient of his career. He said he has never seen a worse spinal cord injury than mine, except for when he worked at Project Desert Storm during the Vietnam War. And that's basically because those people's spines were blown up. My other neurosurgeon said it's a miracle, and there's no way that I should have had the recovery I have achieved, even though I still live with permanent and debilitating partial paralysis. He said, without the presence, God, or something in the OR with them. To this day, I pursue surgeries and doctors, not because I can't cope with my disability, but because why not? I'm a dreamer, and I believe God is a healer. I won't stop until I can recover as much as possible, all the while I'm reminded I will never be the same. As I mentioned, my most recent surgeries include the colostomy reversal. I basically bled for 8 years, and every time I went to see the colorectal surgeon or do pelvic floor therapy, I felt like they were reminding me that my body was broken. I decided to go against all advice and have the surgery. They essentially thought with my lack of neurological function that I would be like a baby and have accidents. I'm happy to say that it was the best decision that I could have made for myself, and they would consider the surgery successful. The woman who hit me was 22, and more than 3 hours after the crash, she was still well over 2 times the legal limit. She ended up being convicted of aggravated DUI and reckless driving, a class 4 felony, and was sent to jail for 18 months. Her sentencing took place on the Tuesday in October of 2016 before I married my husband. I have 50 letters written on behalf from my surgeons, doctors, PTs, friends, and family, including my own victim impact statement outlining exactly how her decision had impacted my life and others, and I didn't want her sentence to be based on how good I looked. I was finally walking without the cane and with only 1 foot orthotic at the time. The judge said that it would have been offensive to send her to boot camp, which is what her lawyer was arguing for, because of how much I had suffered. For 2 long years, I faced a cold, remorseless woman in court, and it killed me inside. I had initially forgiven her for her act to drink and drive because of my prayer and my premonition, but I had a really hard time forgiving her for her lack of remorse. I went on many prayer walks with Gizmo as physical therapy and also to work out my feelings. Emotionally, I've paid the price with PTSD, emotional flashbacks, insecurity, job loss, fear of the future, even loss of relationships. One thing my sister said that was so profound was this: although I am the only physical victim in this crash, there are hundreds of psychological victims, including friends and family, church members, my now husband, and those I come into contact with who hear my story. Financially, I'm still trying to recover civil damages that are not even 1/10 of the amount that I owe insurances, hospitals for all of my inpatient, outpatient care, surgeries, rehab, doctor's appointments, etc. I owe over $1 million. And my lawyer is trying to get it all expunged because she was underinsured at the time of the crash and was 22 with no assets or anything. But I have chosen to forgive. On the day of sentencing, I decided to tell the drunk driver that I forgave her, even though I didn't think she deserved forgiveness. I know there are some in the room that are not religious, and that's okay. But as a Christian, I believe that Jesus forgave me, even though I didn't deserve it. I had decided to say my piece and tell her I forgave her, even though I did not expect her to say anything. I needed to do that for myself to help me move on and marry the love of my life that weekend. To all of our shock, the judge asked her if she wanted to say something, and she stood up sobbing and said, "I'm so sorry, you'll never have your life back. But as I served my sentence, I'll have mine." I felt so overcome with emotion and gratitude that I jumped up and hobbled into the courtroom and asked to hug her. She agreed, and we stood there sobbing and hugging. At one point, I pulled my face back from hers and I looked into her eyes and I said, "Do you want to know the reason I believe God allowed you to hit me of all people that night?" She shook her head no, and I said, "So I could show you mercy." As I walked back, I saw my mom fully embracing the drunk driver's mother. My sister then hugged her brother, my fiance hugged her fiance, and my dad hugged her dad. It was one of the most healing moments of my life. Previously, her lawyer even came up to my husband and said that he was wrong. He didn't know that he was advocating for boot camp despite all of my suffering because he had no idea until I read my victim impact statement. A lot of you are probably wondering or feeling troubled by my prayer and God's answer. How could a loving God allow this to happen to you? Let me explain my point of view. My drunk driver had been driving the wrong way down the expressway for 5 miles. 3 people had called 911 to report that she was going the wrong way. I fully believe that if she had not hit me, she would have hit and most likely killed someone else, if not an entire car of people. I would gladly take that place so someone else could live. And God has more than taken care of me. I've learned that forgiveness is completely separate from justice. She still is legally, emotionally, and financially, has to pay her dues. And while what she did was inexcusable, I have released her emotionally and spiritually so that I can move forward. It was a gift I wanted to give her, but a gift I decided to give myself. If I had chosen not to forgive, I would be putting all my energy into hating her and not rebuilding my life and finding a purpose in my pain. Isn't that why we are all here? Because one woman, the founder of MAD, Candace Leitner, decided not to allow someone else's reckless and selfish decision to ruin her life. She decided to do something with that pain, and she started MAD and has saved countless lives. I have also chosen to rise above and not allow drunk driving to destroy my life, though it has taken it away in many ways. I can make the choice to persevere, to allow this tragedy to teach me more about compassion, love for self and others, faith in God, forgiveness, gratitude, and ultimately allow it to take me down a path I wouldn't have ever chosen for myself, but a path that will make me into a more beautiful me if I let it. I am a victim of drunk driving. I am now a part of a small community of walking paraplegics. I have residual and partial permanent neurological damage, even though I now walk. But I have found strength in myself I didn't know I had. I have felt love from others I could have never conceived, and I have more compassion for victims of any kind of trauma or abuse. I am also working on a self-funded documentary called Peeing is Overrated, The Untold Story of the Miracle Patient. If you're interested, you can find us at miraclepatient.com or Peeing is Overrated, the film. And I'll end with a quote by Frances Ward Weller. The work of the mature person is to carry grief in one hand and gratitude in the other, and to be stretched large by them. How much sorrow can I hold? That's how much gratitude I can give. If I carry only grief, I'll bend towards cynicism and despair. If I carry only gratitude, I'll become saccharine and won't develop compassion for other people's suffering. Grief keeps the heart fluid and soft, which helps make compassion possible. Thank you.
Days are getting longer, we're not getting any stronger. Trust me, Mama knows. But lie in my arms while you're sleeping, and think of the rivers you've crossed. I'll tell you the dreams I've been keeping for moments like this, when your hope is lost. Hear my song, it'll help you get through till tomorrow. Hear my song, it'll show you the way you can shine. Hear my song, it was made for the times when you don't know where to go. Listen to the song that I sing. You'll be fine, 'cause I'll be singing, hold on, hold tight. I know it's dark right now, but just believe somehow that soon there will be light. Hold on, hold
my honor to introduce Gina Vargas, our next guest speaker. I have been working with Gina as her advocate for over 6 years. I'm proud to also call her my friend. Tonight she is going to share her story on how an impaired driver affected her and her family's lives.
Hello. Sorry. My name is Gina Vargas. I'm 39 years old. I have 5 beautiful children. I became a mother at 19 with Bianca. Sorry. She was born in 2003. 5 years later came Brielle. I loved being a mom. So when the girls got older, I missed having a baby around. That's when Mercedes Ilani was born. May 8th, 2016. She was so perfect. The perfect gift being born on Mother's Day. Mercedes brought so much love and light to our family. She loved to smile, she was always happy, and she loved to laugh. She was the biggest ray of sunshine on the cloudiest day. With Mercedes, our family was complete. On November 3rd, 2016, all of that changed. We went about our day as we normally would, our daily routine, work, babysitter, school, games. Bianca was a cheerleader, so we had a game that evening. Everything as we normally would, every day. Never did I think that our lives would be completely shattered, driving down the same road I had driven down my entire life. That night, we were turning into our subdivision 3 blocks away from home. We were hit by someone who decided to have some drinks and get behind the wheel. 82 miles per hour in a 45 miles per hour zone. In the blink of an eye, everything changed. Bianca and Brielle were so badly injured, and Mercedes, unfortunately, did not make it. Our life so perfect that morning, and by the evening, a complete nightmare. My baby girl, only 5 days short of being 6 months, was no longer with us. My other girls in different hospitals, everybody was so hurt. Bianca and Brielle slowly physically healed, but our hearts remained the same, broken, missing a huge piece. The effects of losing Mercedes were so deep. Everyone struggled emotionally. It wasn't until 2 years later, on Mercedes' birthday, that the driver was charged and arrested. 2 long, miserable years of not knowing if he would be held accountable for what he did. All of the so-called healing that we had done had just disappeared. We now had to relive it and see his face every month in court for the next 4 years. They were the hardest to get through. My angel advocate was Carrie Kilpatrick. A true angel, I believe, was sent down from Mercedes to help me through all of the hard times we were about to endure. I could not even begin to imagine how I would have gotten through any of these court dates without her. With COVID, our case was dragged on forever. Almost 7 years later, Mercedes' case was finally over, and the driver was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison. The case ran longer than his sentence will, but nonetheless, it was finally over. During this time, I struggled. I struggled hard. Trying to maintain the kids in the house and the bills while dealing with grief is so hard. Losing Mercedes was so hard. Everything piled up on me. I was behind on my bills, almost without a place to live. Accumulated so much debt during all of this, and with the help of AIM, I was able to get through it all. I struggled to pay my rent, was behind on my utilities, couldn't even put groceries in the fridge. AIM paid my rent, not 1 month, but 3. They paid my utilities, and they gave me gift cards to put groceries in my refrigerator. Without the help of AIM, we wouldn't have made it through our struggles. Even after sentencing, AIM helped me with Mercedes' memorial sign. I didn't even know we could do something like that. So when Carrie mentioned it to me, you can imagine how excited I was. Not only to have her memorial in my hometown forever, but to also spread awareness, praying every day that her memorial marker can save at least one person from getting behind the wheel intoxicated. AIM has been one of the biggest blessings in this nightmare. I am forever grateful to AIM and its angel advocates. AIM is the reason I was able to pick back up after being so low for so long. To have people who actually care for you and understand what we as victims of intoxicated motorists go through is so helpful during this process. With Carrie by my side, I was able to do something I never thought I'd be able to do. Speak on my story, share my story, spread awareness, because the ongoing support that AIM and its advocates give is so special and needed in our grief journey. I was able to share my victim impact statement, which is something that was very important for me to do, with the help of Carrie. It's been almost a year since sentencing, and I still have a relationship with her. She still checks on me and the girls to this day. I gained a great friend. AIM and their angel advocates have saved my life in more ways than one, and for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sai, and I am a victim advocate that serves with MAD. Today, I will be honoring the names of victims who were impacted by impaired driving, which also includes injured victims as well. Please allow us to pay tribute as I express half of the following honorary names. Emmanuel Afia, Jenny Anderson, Alejandro Arcera, Melissa Aspie, Myron Beeler, Antoinea Blanton, Gregory Harold Blazer, Sheree Balling, Tony Borsha, Greg Boyce, Thomas Braswell, and Brearley, Clayton Berger, James Carlson, Frank Salvatore Caruso Jr., Cindy Shabrinsky, Isidro Chavez Jr., Dallas Colbert, Amanda Collis, Craig Cleveland Collins, Alicia Jane Connors, Jeremy Coutre, Kelly Quinlan Dube, Ronald Dube, Megan Ellen, Liam Elston, Nick Ercolini, David Figueroa, Mikalea Fitzsimmons, Emily Faith Flora, Aaron Flores, Yuri Georgievsky, Jador Goodwin, Jarisha Goodwin, Julie Grief, Charity Gross, Rania Gilder, John Guzzardo, Mason Hayda, Felicia Bino Hall, Lee J. Hall, Lottie Hall, DeAndre Harris, Madison Hall, John Hayden Sr., Amanda Henning, Christopher Henning, Aliana Henry, Lily Hicks, Timothy White Huddleston, Leslie Huerta, Beata Jonalik, Libor Jonalik, Lisa Judson, Robert Kalin, Stephen Kamen, Aiden K, Nicholas Kilpatrick, Christopher Krenzer, John Kreslin Jr., Gregory Kino, Mercedes Alani Lambert, Douglas James Landers, Eric Larson, and Daisy Latour. The other half will be expressed by Carrie. Thank you.
Sorry. Stephen Kamen. Aiden K. Oh, I started the wrong spot. I'm so sorry. Laura Latour. Sergeant Joseph Lazo. Carla Linos. Caitlin Marie Leakley. Oswaldo Leon. Doug Leaving. Austin Lockwood. William Lewis. Isaiah Lopez. Christopher Lucas. Nathaniel Madison. George Margiolis. John Margiolis. Jacob Martinez. Louis Martinez. Abby Matson. Amelia Mazikas. James Miller. Peyton Moore. Aaron Morgan. Numa Muniz. Ceci Nachi, I apologize. Dashorn Daryl Napper Jr. Dale Nelson. James Walter Newman. Samantha Neves. Amelia Nowak. Nancy Nozika. Mary Isabella Obert. Julian Michael Oshikwada. Aaron Olmsted. Brady O'Neill. Retired Detective Joseph Paglia. Luis Martinez Ortiz. Ashley Pekarek. Rachel Pennell. Armida Reyes. Peyton Richmond. Stephanie Rodriguez. Aaron Rollins. Marina Schultz. Carlos Serratos, Ethan Schumacher. Lester Schumacher. Mary Lynn Schumacher. Teresa Stanley. Kimberly Kimmy Leanne Tillman. Chauncey Wayne Tucker Jr. Deshawn Tudela. Julie Wahlberg. Cherie Walls. Joy Wang. Karen Wasco. Robert Wasco. Isaac L. Watkins. James Wells. Jeffrey White. Marvin White. Community Service Officer Michael White. Willie White. Matthew Wismock. Marion Wildarski.
Come, stop your crying, it'll be alright. Just take my hand, hold it tight. I will protect you from all around you. I will be here, don't you cry. For one so small, you seem so strong. My arms will hold you, keep you safe and warm. This bond between us can't be broken. I will be here, don't you cry. 'Cause you'll be in my heart. Yes, you'll be in my heart. From this day on, now and forevermore. You'll be in my heart, no matter what they say. You'll be here in my heart, always. Don't listen to him, 'cause what does he know? We need each other to have and to hold. He'll see in time, I know. When destiny calls you, you must stay strong. I may not be with you, but you've got to hold on. We'll see in time, I know. We'll show them together, 'cause you'll be in my heart. Yes, you'll be in my heart. From this day on, now and forevermore. You'll be in my heart. Yes, you'll be in my heart. From this day on, now and forevermore. Always.
Thank you, Bree. Bree came all the way down from Milwaukee to be here with us tonight, so I just want to thank you so much. And thank you all for attending today's Candlelight Ceremony. This event was held not just for the victim names that Sasai and Carrie read, but also for the 37 people who are killed and more than 1,000 people injured every day in the United States just by drunk driving. That does not take into account the horrific crashes caused by other drugs such as cannabis and opioids. Of the 1,334 people that Dr. Anderle mentioned killed in motor vehicle crashes in Illinois in 2021, more than 300 of those people were killed in impaired driving crashes. And those people will not be sitting around their family's holiday table this month. MAD, AIM, and the Secretary of State's office are united in preventing these 100% preventable crimes. We would like to thank Secretary of State Janulius and his team, as well as the MAD and AIM staffs for helping plan this meaningful event. And we want to thank both the AIM board and the MAD Advisory Council for all of the hard work. You guys are volunteers and you're just like staff. We appreciate you all so much. We want to thank Monsignor Vilo and Dr. Anderle for your words, and again to Bree for lending your beautiful voice. My sincere thanks to Aaron Rollins, Gina Vargas, all of the victim and victim families here, and all of the law enforcement here today. And as a final thank you to ADM Cares for helping make this day possible. And I'm going to welcome Monsignor Velo back up to the stage. And afterwards, we hope you will join us in the room next door for some refreshments and some really good chocolate chip cookies. I can't express enough how much you're going to like them. I want you to enjoy the rest of your night, and please get home safely. Thank you.
This evening, we lit a candle rather than curse the darkness. The prayers of this night, those names we just heard. We lit a candle rather than curse the darkness. The prayers of this night are those who mourn the loss of loved ones, those who have been injured or maimed. The prayers of this night. We lit a candle rather than curse the darkness. And yes, truly, the prayers of this night were Aaron and Gina as they told a story of love, a story of witness. Tonight, the blessing is our coming together, and the grace is what may happen from all that we do. Gracious God, support us all day long until the shadows lengthen and evening comes, and the busy world is hushed, and the fever of life is over. Then, in your mercy, grant us a safe lodging and a holy rest, and a peace that will last. We make our prayer in your good name. May our journey home be safe, and the journey of our life be long. Amen.
So again, thank you everybody. Please stick around and take some photographs and join us for some refreshments in the other